See, wait for a few more people to join us before we start talking. So if you're just getting here, be patient. We're going to wait for a few more people to join so we can start talking about Howie's molt. Oh, hi from Northern Ireland. Yeah, hi from the UK. Ooh, lots of people from the UK. From Buffalo. Hi from Canada, Brazil. Ooh, from Council Bluffs. Hi, across the river. Hop, skip, and a jump. Vancouver, Louisiana, North Carolina. Wow. Ontario. Ooh, lots of Canadians. Ooh, Puerto Rico. Cool. Minnesota, California, Midwest, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, New Zealand, wow, Tennessee, the Philippines, all right, Louisiana, Georgia, Virginia, Wisconsin, oh yeah, I love that cheese, New York City, Texas, Charlotte, gosh, you guys are from all over. Howie, did you have any idea how many people love you? Yeah? It's okay, honey. France and the UK, wow, okay. All right, guys, well, I'm going to get started if anybody has any questions. This isn't Howie's molt stream. This is just Howie hanging out. She's still waiting. We're on day 22 of her no eating, so over 3 weeks. Just so you guys know, her last molt, she went 28 days without eating, and every molt seems to be a little bit longer. So that's what's going on with her. She's just hanging out, not doing a whole lot, but you can see her mouth is moving, so. Yeah, she's not feeling very social today. Howie, please no pooping on live again. She pooped on live yesterday. It was kind of embarrassing. Yeah, so she doesn't molt annually. She molts when she can't fit in her shell anymore. Isn't that right, Howie? You've been eating so good. But she is doing okay, you guys. Just wanted everybody to know that. Yeah, you know, we got her from a pet store, so she's not stolen off of a beach or anything. She's, you know, she's been with us since 2016. Yeah, and thank you for the roses, everybody. Yeah, I mean, she still has some leg hair. It's kind of falling out though, a little bit, which is good. Not too bad. And then like her beard, I know her claws are in the way, but her beard's starting to thin a whole lot. I know, Howie. But yeah, you know, when I put her under really bright lights, it makes her blue look amazing. But I mean, if I were to turn off the lights, you guys, like, you know, if I did this, I mean, she's not as bright blue. So lighting has a huge role in what she looks like. I know. Sorry, Howie. Messing with the lights. Thank you for the roses, everybody. I just want everyone to have an opportunity to see Howie live. I always get rumors around molting time that, you know, she's not real or that, you know, she's passed. I just want enough people to say, hey, yeah, we saw her on live. No, Howie's totally fine, because that helps me out. No, she's not eating, but that's normal pre-molt behavior, so I'm not too concerned. She did go 28 days the last time she molted, so I know that she can at least do 28 days. The molt hasn't started. I think we still have at least a week to go before she starts, but I mean, she's giving me all the signs that she's headed in the right direction. Yeah, so today's day 22. I remember if you were with us last time, you'll notice that she opens kind of like her poop flap a whole bunch, which is down pretty low, and she's just letting out, you know, some extra stuff. You know, I think there was a video where, yeah, she did kind of make a little toot. It was kind of funny. As for her vision is greatly reduced because of the cracks, but she can still see. Yeah, but you know, it's an old crab problem. Her shell just can't make it between molts because her eyes are the thinnest part of her shell, and just normal wear and tear, you know, her licking her eyes over and over again, they crack after a while. Okay, so explaining the bubbles when she's molting. So sometimes you'll see her blow bubbles or have water in her mouth. She's forcing that into her shell to help her separate, and that's normal molting behavior as well. The average lifespan for her species, Cardosoma armatum, is only 3 to 5 years in captivity, and the species maximum is 8 years. There is some conflicting data on that, but I'm going off of reputable sites and then other people who've had rainbow crabs. The 8 seems to be the consensus of, you know, what they're capable of getting to. But, you know, there's always outliers in the statistics of, you know, how long a pet can last, you know, because you'll hear those stories of dogs that have lived to 20, you know, cats that have lived to 30. So hopefully Howie, with all her wonderful care and love from everyone, will just keep on trucking. Yeah, December doesn't seem very long ago. A lot of people are like, wow, you know, she just molted, you know, and, you know, so it's been, you know, only like 8.5 months, I want to say. So I'm expecting, you know, probably right around 9 months. Let's see. Yep, again, Howie is 8 years old. The first signs of molting are the side of her shell will crack when she's finally ready to bust out of her shell. And she'll go into her molting cave for that. And no, I can't help her molt. She has to separate from her digestive tract, and she has to separate from her gills. And it's just such a delicate procedure that if I pulled on her shell, I mean, I could ruin a vital organ, or she could rip apart. So this molt is 100% up to her. How many molts has she gone through? She's probably gone more than 20. When she was really little, she would molt like every 8 weeks. So it was, you know, every 2 months. So it was frequent. I lost count because it was a regular occurrence for her. Because when they're young, it's really easy for them to just molt, you know, things work better. I've had her since 2016. Let's see, how long did it take her to molt? So last molt, she was in pre-molt for several months, where she would eat a little bit and then stop eating for a period of time, and then eat a little bit and then stop, and you know, that went back and forth quite a bit. And then she went 28 days without eating anything before she molted. But talking about this molt, I mean, she's been in pre-molt since June. I didn't really say anything because I didn't want people to freak out because she was hardly eating anything. But for now, she's gone 22 days without food. Yes, it is normal for one claw to be larger than the other. Her species, both genders, will have one claw for defense, her big crushing claw, and then, you know, the little claw here is for like precision and dexterity. So both of the genders have different size claws. It's normal for her species. She sleeps all over her tank. She doesn't have one particular area. She'll just find a way to be comfortable and then tilt her head down and go to sleep. It's really cute. Is it likely that she'll make it through this molt? As worried as I was last time, the 28 days, she was very, very weak at the end, and going on that same trend of she'll probably go beyond 28 days, I'm giving her about a 25% chance of making it through this molt. But, you know, that is life, and I think everyone deserves to be on her journey. So the difference between male and female crabs is that male crabs have a very narrow stomach plate, like a very little sliver of a triangle. Females will have a much wider abdomen, for holding eggs. Crabs can't grow unless they shed their exoskeleton. So she needs to come out of her shell, and then her body underneath will reharden a new shell. Yep, she's been having lots of high protein foods. I'm really focusing on dense nutrition. When her eating started to decline earlier this summer, I made sure that she, had some really high calorie foods. Yeah. Yeah, I know tater tot was a huge loss. Let's see. So her leg hair, again, if you're just joining us, it is, let's see. It is starting to fall out because normally she's very, very hairy. So some of it's starting to fall out. And then she's got some patches on her beard, but her little claws are in the way, kind of hard to see. But I mean, I do see progression. She is a lot more porous today. Like I can tell that her shell is thinning. No, she really doesn't like to play too much when she's at this stage. She's very tired. So if I offered to play with her, she would actually just kind of go in the water and hide. So after she molts, how soon will she eat again? Once she molts, she needs to wait some additional time for her mouth parts to harden because she will be growing new mandibles and, all new parts. And so she waits a couple days. Then she consumes her shell to remineralize. And then once she's done with that, then she'll start eating again. So people are asking, how did I get Howie? My daughter chose her from an aquatic pet store back in 2016. And then Howie was already a year old. So when crabs emerge from their eggs, they are zoea. They're like these little tiny microscopic, they're actually plankton. And then, it takes, I want to say 45 days for them to even look like a crab, and then there's some molting involved. And then by the time they're about a year old, they're like 1 inch across. And she was really, really itty bitty when we got her. So hearing, lots of people ask, do crabs hear? Her species has a rudimentary inner ear, but it's not as good as our hearing, but she can feel the vibration from sounds and from my voice. So if she does hear a loud sound, she will react, but she's reacting to the vibration, even though she lacks actual ears and eardrums. So her hearing works, but it's just very different than ours. She is in freshwater because she is a freshwater land crab. But her species will go to the ocean and release their eggs into the ocean. And then once those little crabs get big enough for their life cycle, they move back onto land near bodies of fresh water. No, her shell hasn't cracked yet, and she's still working on her molt. And Howie has never laid eggs. She's never been around a male. She has always just been, crabs don't seek out mates, at least females don't. But she is a solitary by nature. She would attack another crab. Yes, she does lay her eyes down if she's scared or if something is coming at her vision. She can see my hand and she'll put her eye down. But she knows that it's just mommy. Mommy's not going to poke her eye, so she doesn't care. Yeah, I am worried about her molt. Howie, can you wave? Can you wave, honey? Can you do happy mouth? Howie, can you do happy mouth for everyone? Come on, honey. Happy mouth? Let's see if I can get her to do one little happy mouth if she would like to. Howie, happy mouth? No, you're not in the mood? Okay. Yeah, she does just likes to keep her claws in front of her face. That's kind of her resting position. Molting is uncomfortable because she's hungry, she's weak. She does have nerves in her shell, so she is separating from her nerves on the old shell. So there's some discomfort there. I don't know that she'll become the oldest. There's just not a lot of record keeping. You'll see right now her she's not very coordinated at the moment, and that's due to like sensory issues to where she can't really feel her feet because she's separating from her old shell. So she will kind of slip around a lot, but that's normal. And her shell will still protect her, so she's fine. So yeah, she can't eat. So when I say that she can't eat, it's because there is a film forming between her mouth and her new shell so that she can't get food stuck in her newly forming digestive tract. So she literally physically cannot eat until she molts. So we don't keep her shell, she eats her shell. It's normal for crustaceans to consume their molt to remineralize. A lot of species do that. Oh, hi from West Omaha. Let's see, are they difficult to care for? When it comes to food, they eat such a wide variety. It's not the food that's the issue, it's cleaning their tanks. She likes to squirrel food away, and that fouls up the water, and she does have 25 gallons of water beneath her. And keeping that clean can sometimes be a struggle if you're not used to the maintenance and the care it takes to run an aquarium. Yeah, a lot of people ask, how long can she go without food? Previous to her last molt, which she went 28 days, she actually did go longer without food than that because she was waiting for her mouth parts to reharden before consuming her molt. That was more than 30 days. I want to say that was closer to 34, 35 days. And that was really nerve-wracking. I was really, really happy that she molted, and I was really scared that she wasn't going to eat. That, there's always that worry that something in the molting process maybe didn't go right. So I will feel so much better when she molts and when she's eating food again. Let's see. Yep, she still has some leg hair. We're still waiting on, more of the molting signs. She will get paler than this. She looks pretty good under this light because I'm using LED lights. Yep, Howie is 8 years old. Hello from Scotland. Let's see, so what do I feed her? Her species primarily eats fruit and terrestrial vegetation, and then whatever they can scavenge protein-wise. So typically she would eat like a lot of like leaves, like decaying leaves and fruit and stuff that she finds, plant material, and then she would require a weekly protein. So I feed her, fruits and vegetables, and then like fish, protein, and other sources of meat. And she's been doing fabulous all these years with just, whole foods. She likes my company. She actually will sit in the corner of her tank and stare at me from across the room, like, pay attention to me, Mom, or I want to sit and watch TV with you, take me out of my tank. So she likes attention. So she's not really like a reptile that just tolerates it. No, she's a pretty good companion, but it did take us years to get this way because socializing a crab is not the easiest undertaking. So if Howie can't molt, unfortunately 90% of crabs will die if they fail to molt or if they have issues with the molting process. I've always loved crabs. I'm allergic to shellfish, so I've never looked at crayfish or shrimp or crabs or any sort of crustacean as a food source, and I always thought they were really neat looking. And, finally when I was older and I can get my own pets, I've had, crayfish and saltwater hermit crabs and, all sorts of things. So when my daughter asked for Howie, she didn't have to twist my arm. I was happy to get her. So Howie shirts, you're asking, is Amazon the best place to buy? I like Amazon because they have a fast turnaround, and if you have Prime shipping, you don't have to pay for shipping. Spring is also really good. They finally gotten a little bit faster about their shipping, but you do have to pay for shipping. But they have extended sizes if you're looking for something like, 3, 4, 5X, or if you're looking for kid sizes or, dog shirts. I have a little bit more to offer on the spring tee, but you can just go to howieTheCrab.com and I have all my links to the merchandise. But everything on Amazon, like if you were just to go on Amazon and say Howie the Crab, all of my merchandise would pop up, and I haven't seen any copycats in a while, so you're safe to order anything on there. And then another thing about my website, I do have Q&A, like all of the frequently asked questions and answer. I wrote everything out. If you just want to ever spend some time reading that, it's on the bottom of my website, howieTheCrab.com. Just to kind of have a central place for everyone to get their information. Let's see. What kind of crab is she? She's a rainbow crab or a patriot crab. Cardosoma armatum. She's from the west coast of Africa. Let's see. But yes, Howie is a she. We didn't know her gender when we named her because she didn't reach maturity until age 2. And so her stomach plate made her look male. So we named her a boy's name, but then by the time we knew that she was female, it was just too late to change her name because we've always called her Howie. Let's see. Why are Howie's eyes cloudy? Her eyes are cracked just from the age of her shell. So if I zoom in here, let's see if I can. Trying to adjust the camera here. There, you can see that her eyes are very cracked, and that's just mineralization from her water in the cracks in her eyes. And that's just because she's very, very old. And her other eye is starting to do it too. But over the past 3 years, the film over her left eye specifically has been thinning. And I think that's just age-related decline, because even after just a few months after her molt, that eye started to already crack. So that one has just kind of always been an issue for her. But it doesn't hurt her. It's just probably a nuisance. Is she combative? She can be to strangers and people she doesn't know. If she feels threatened, yeah, she'll go full crab. But, she's not really aggressive with me. If she's not having it and doesn't want to be pet, she'll lunge, like to slap my hand away, but she won't actively try to pinch me. So I've only ever been pinched once. And that was an accident. She got my finger confused for a carrot. Will we have another crab someday? Howie's species isn't imported in the United States anymore. So if I do get another crab, I might look for one that just needs to be rehomed. I'd rather adopt instead of shop. So yes, Howie does recognize me. She recognizes faces, food, objects, colors. If a stranger comes up to her, she won't be as friendly as she is with me. And sometimes even if she doesn't recognize me right away, she'll just be, claws up, and then she'll relax when she realizes it's me. She does definitely recognize kitties. She tends to go for Siren. I mean, honestly, when she's not in a bad mood, she doesn't really care about pinching the cat. She just kind of ignores her. But if she's moody, she will kind of run at her, and it's funny. But I obviously don't let Howie pinch Siren. Can Howie smell? Yes, she has two very small antennae that come out between her eyes, like the little dark slits down here. Let's see if I can zoom in. Kind of show you where her, so like it would be right where our nose is, in between, like right there. There would be her little antenna for smelling. So if you've ever watched SpongeBob, you've seen like Mr. Krabs and those little sniffing antenna pop out of his nose. Yes, thank you. Howie is my hard-shelled hamster. Let's see. Oh, I have lots of messages. Yeah, no, there won't be any Old Bay seasoning. She's my pet, and I love her. So if you're going to come on here and make jokes about eating her, I really would appreciate if you wouldn't do that. Yes, she does have feelings. Like emotion-wise, she does experience fear and happiness and boredom. It took her a long time to be familiar with each color of like her ball pit balls. I had to introduce one color slowly at a time until she felt comfortable playing in them. And she does get excited for certain foods. Like if I hold it up to the tank, I think if you've seen a lot of her videos, you'll know, yeah, she gets excited for food, and she likes to go for walks. She has preferences for food over other foods. And she does play. She likes to play with balls and squeaky toys and other stuff in her tank. How often do I walk her? If I notice her pacing her tank, I'll just take her out and then either let her run around the house or sit with me on the couch, or it's really weather dependent. If the weather is nice out, I'll take her out, a couple times a week and just let her roam the yard, and then I'll let her go on the sidewalk for a little bit. How can I tell if she is sleeping? She will tilt her face all the way down and put her legs up, and then she'll stop moving, and sometimes she'll put her eyes down. Yes, it is okay to feed her food that is not from the sea. She is adapted to eat just about everything, but out of an abundance of caution, we don't feed her things like vinegar or alcohol, caffeine, chocolate, things that I think would be hard on her body, like star fruit. Obviously not fruit pits. I avoid almonds, garlic, onions, spicy peppers. I'd really just try to feed her foods that are like whole. Like right now she has apple, and those are cucumbers from my garden. Like I even grow food organically for her. Like, we have fruit trees and stuff, and she has her own raspberry patch. So, just the lap of luxury. Yep, she's blowing a little bit of bubbles. You can kind of see. Maybe I'll zoom in so you guys can see that better. Yeah, she's doing her little bubbles. I can't give an exact estimate of what day I think she'll molt on, because it's a lot like waiting for labor. Like I know that she's getting there, and she's almost ready to molt, but I am thinking at least another week, just based upon her color and how much hair she's lost. Yes, she gets calcium-rich foods. I do supplement her with calcium, and then I find her foods that have excellent source of iodine and protein. So she'll get like seaweed and eggs, and even cheese is high in iodine and calcium. But no, her diet it's very varied, but I'm very careful to make sure that I'm giving her foods with the nutrients that she needs. Yeah, she's kind of spacing off right now. I mean, to say that she's awake, I can't. I mean, if I reach in, she'll probably move because her eyes are still open. Howie, are you awake, honey? Yeah, you're awake. She's just chilling. She's all right. Does Howie go to a vet? I did ask around town, and we are in Nebraska, so there's really no specialty vets for crabs. But her species doesn't require any preventative care, so there really wasn't anything to do, to take any reason to take her to a vet. Because she's never had any illnesses or injury. I think I set up there. Yeah, so no, she's always been very healthy. She's never lost a limb. She's never been sick. When I did get her, she did have a little bit of shell rot, but I treated that, and then she molted, and she was fine. Yeah, we're hoping that she'll molt in a week. Yes, so she prefers her little claw, but when she reaches to take food, she chooses her big claw. But then she'll pass it to her small claw. So she does the majority of her eating with her small claw. How do you treat shell rot? Usually I treat it by keeping the area clean. I'll take a toothbrush and kind of lightly debride the area, and then use purified water and keep it clean, and then do extra water changes, and be extremely vigilant about taking food out of the tank until their shell rot clears. The bright light shouldn't affect her vision because, she's a land crab. She would be okay with bright light. And then this is a ring light, so, it doesn't hurt my eyes. And she does go outside, so she's used to light. Yes, they do live a shorter lifespan in the wild. They will only live like 2 to 3 years, pretty much just enough to reach maturity and have offspring and then pass. Well, thank you, everybody sending Earths. That's really cool. Howie is 8 years old. We know she's female because her species is gendered by her stomach plate. And thank you for the roses. Yeah, her mouth is very interesting. These little mouth hands there are her third maxillipeds. She actually has little even hands that are even smaller behind those. So, and those help push food into her mouth. Basically, every appendage on her body is either to help her move, to travel, or to eat. So everything in her mouth is all so that she can eat. Oh, you got your Howie merch. I'm glad. She will do Happy Mouth on command. I don't know that she will right now. She did it on her last live. So her hairs serve as a purpose to let her feel things. Like if a bug were to be crawling across her face, she would, be able to get that bug away from her sensitive mouth parts. And that kind of helps her feel around in the dark. So every hair is attached to a nerve. So, if I were to brush her beard or her leg hair, she definitely feels it. But, she does have sensation in her shell as well. I don't know if it hurts her to walk, but I'm guaranteed that she's just not wanting to walk because she can't feel the ground very much. And she's also very tired. Her bedtime, so she's pretty active between like 9:30 p.m. all the way up till like midnight. And then usually after that, she settles down. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Cal. Let's see. Yes, she does respond to verbal commands. I think she's used to the frequency of my voice, but she does respond better to visual cues. So if I'm telling her happy mouth, I'll be doing happy mouth with my fingers, behind the camera to kind of encourage her to mimic me. She's not really asleep. She's just kind of resting, sitting a whole lot, just blowing bubbles. You can see that she's kind of moving water in and out of her shell. Yes, I will tell her, yes, Howie, I love you from Tour de Fats. Do they urinate? That is an excellent question. Yes, they do. They pee from their eyes. It is the weirdest thing. But there's that little white spot between her eye. Let's see if I can get my finger. Boop. Like there's this little spot. That little flap opens and they pee from there. It's not very much though, but they will excrete urea from there. So yes, crabs do pee. It's just it's very hard to catch. Like on film. So if I ever catch it on film, yes, I'll definitely put that online for people to see. No, Howie's never had babies. She will molt soon. We're hoping another week to 10 days. Oh, okay. You're, let's see. Lindsay McAllis. My son made something for Howie. He just loves her. How can I send it to you? If you go to howiethecrab.com, my P.O. box is listed there. We love getting drawings and fun things from kids. It really, really warms our heart. Let's see, how did I learn about her type of crab? When we first got her, there really weren't a whole lot of information on her species. She, my knowledge was based upon other crustaceans that I had cared for. And then I reached out to other people who had rainbow crabs and, learned a lot about their care. And then finally around the end of 2017, there was a lot more information online about their care. Let's see, how long did they live? Howie's at her species maximum lifespan of 8 years. Yes, her coloration is pale because of her age and the fact that she is due to molt. She was about a year old when we got her. Let's see. Yes, Howie can see colors, and I tested this with bell peppers. She prefers red bell peppers over green, yellow, or orange. And so if I hold up all 4 colors for her, she will immediately always go for red. And then she prefers like celery over carrots. So if I hold up an orange carrot and a piece of celery that's green, the same size, she'll go for the celery. So I know that she recognizes by color. The estimate for age, their average age in the wild versus captivity is 2 to 3 years in the wild and 3 to 5 in captivity. Yes, the black part is her eyes, and those are her eye stalks. And inside of her shell, she has this like a tendon that is attached to her body, and she can pull her eyes down and up. When she molts, I'll go through and do a detailed video about the parts inside when I get to see her molt. I did make a video on that a while ago, but it's probably buried 200 videos ago. So I'll make a new one. Yeah, no, Howie's never had crab babies, crablets. That's cute. Yeah, thank you everyone for all the gifts and the mustaches and yeah, she does have little teeth. But biologists would argue that they're not true teeth because they're not really bone, but they are made of really hard material and they are in there. But she's got like 2 little ones, and that's what she uses to crunch up her food. Yes, her eyes are cracked because of her molt and that she's really old because it's very thin. Let's see. Let's see. How long and how often does she sleep? She sleeps more of like a cat nap type of sleep where it's just off and on, and then she'll sleep for a little bit and then she'll move around because especially if she falls asleep in the water, she can't get enough oxygen from the water, so she'll have to resurface. So she'll just kind of go buoyant for a while and then go, I need to get some air, and then she'll pop back up after, maybe 15 minutes. Oh, how am I holding up? I'm very stressed because, realistically, this, might be her time. But, we have over 1 million followers across social media, so I don't want to just go silent. I think it's important to show the nitty gritty of pet ownership and, the life cycle of a pet. But, if she makes it through this molt, oh, it'll be so triumphant. I will be so happy. Her water is heated. We keep it at about 76 to 78 degrees because she is poikilothermic, which means that she adjusts her body temperature to the surrounding air and water. But she doesn't require to sun herself like other reptiles, so she doesn't need a heat lamp. Her body's just a little bit different. Yeah, so her eyesight, she can actually see 360 degrees. So she can see from in front and behind. And then if she does lay her eyes down into her sockets, she can only see 180 degrees. But, once she molts and her eyes are clear again, she'll have much better vision. So the water temperature has never affected her molt her entire life. We have never adjusted her water outside its parameters. And she's always done fabulous. I don't think she would have made it to 8 if she needed adjustments to her water parameters. But, she does have fresh, clean water. I made sure that I did a really deep, big tank clean recently to ensure that it's bacteria-free. The water temperature, I believe, is set between 76 and 78. Like that, and that's Fahrenheit. Yeah, let's see, think about it. Yeah, I hope she'll, get to do more fun activities. We have, she still needs to ride a fire truck. She still needs to ride in a helicopter. I have grand plans after she molts. So how do I filter her water? So she has a filtration pump, and I make her filters. So I use carbon and 2 sets of filtration pads, and then I change those frequently to make sure that her filter is always running. Probably normally I can tell by her demeanor if she's afraid of something, but you have to realize that she rides in a bike basket. She goes on for walks. She goes, she's been on a skateboard, trampoline. She kind of she's an adventure crab. So I think if she felt like safe enough and like, you know, held in a very safe container that she would probably like, you know, doing some of these things. See, my daughter named her when she was in kindergarten. I mean, as for the air pressure, I mean, she can regulate her like sodium levels and everything. I think if she does a helicopter ride, she's not going to go up very hard. We have a friend that is a helicopter pilot that we were discussing maybe doing something fun with her when this is all over. So Howie plushies. I did look into it, and you know, you have to do a pre-sale of those. You have to have at least 200 people interested, and then it can take like 6 months to a year to produce. So, you know, with Howie's advanced age, I didn't want people to be on the hook for stuffed animals if something were inevitably to happen to her due to her age. So I don't know that we'll do plushies. I mean, unless I can find a company that can produce them faster right after she molts. Let's see. Yeah, she's pretty tired. She's just hanging out. So, Howie stickers. We do have a few stickers on Teespring or Spring Tea. I always get that backwards. But I am looking for a third merchandise company that would do smaller things like keychains and stickers. I just really didn't want to deal with the shipping and the customer service, so I could just focus on social media and answering people's questions and educating everyone. So if I could find a smaller company that would, you know, do that for me, that would be great. But I don't really plug a whole lot of merchandise just because it feels kind of weird, like, hey guys, buy my stuff. But no. Let's see, we got Howie from a pet store. Let's see, Howie doesn't go to the vet because there aren't any vets for crabs. And especially there aren't any, oh, hi. Let's see, I don't know if you heard Siren, she meowed. Siren, can you squeak? Can you squeak? No? Okay. Anyway, Siren's hanging out with me. But yeah, no, there aren't any vets for crabs, and she doesn't require preventative care, and she's never been sick or injured. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, we did think that Howie was a boy at first, just because her stomach plate was very narrow, like a little crab boy, because it didn't change until she reached maturity. Yes. Oh, who is Siren? Siren is our cat. She is a black and white, long hair tuxedo kitty. And she's friends with Howie. She's Howie's less famous sister. Yeah, I've had Howie since 2016. How soon did I realize how special Howie was? That's a great question. You know, it took a few months to get her comfortable with me, you know, but she started doing high fives right away because I always tried to pet her. And at first, she would put her leg out to like, hey, don't touch me, you know, but then she would tap my hand. And then, you know, I'd be like, oh, thanks for the high five. And then I kind of just encouraged that. So I would stick my hand in the tank and let her tap my hand. And she would give me another high five. And then she realized, oh, mom just wants a high five. And then that was just the sweetest thing. So I didn't train her. I didn't withhold any food to do anything that she does. She just did something cute and I encouraged it. Yes, I've owned other crustaceans before. We used to have electric blue crayfish. And, you know, we have another saltwater aquarium. It's 125 gallons. So we have other things like we have cleaner shrimp and we have blue-legged hermit crabs that are like fully aquatic. And we've had sponge crabs, and we've had emerald crabs. So, we've had a lot of crabbies. But Howie is our only land crab. Let's see. Howie's favorite cheese. Her favorite cheese is Baby Bell mozzarella. But I mean, she does love cheddar and Swiss. Like, she's never turned down a cheese, but she seems particularly fond of mozzarella. And I think it's just because it's squishier and it's less hard of a cheese. And I think it's also higher fat, I think. Let's see. Her last molt took 28 days from when she stopped eating. Howie's never had blue cheese. I didn't know how she would react to like the mold in it. I just, for safety reasons, like most of her cheese would be more of the pasteurized kind. Let's see. Again, how many times will she molt in her lifetime? She's molted over 20 times. I've lost count, but typically her species will molt on average 20 times in their life. So she's probably done it maybe 25 times, if I had to put a number on and guess. No, Howie's not sick. She's just getting ready to molt. No, Howie hasn't molted yet. Howie loves fruit, but she's actually kind of picky about certain fruits. Like, she doesn't like cherries, and she doesn't like pineapple. She doesn't really like acidic fruits. Some crabs won't even be picky, and they'll just, eat pineapple and oranges. They don't care. But Howie knows that if she doesn't eat something, I'll offer her something better. She'll just snub it and go, "Mom, give me something else." It's not cataracts, just her shell is cracked. She does have a thin film over her eye, and that covers her entire body, but that's the thinnest part of her shell. So the most dangerous part of the molt, I would say, is probably pulling her face out lastly, because her gills and stomach lining are all attached up front. The front of her, like, where her mouth is. I will try to catch her molt on live. But sometimes she'll just go into her molting cave when I'm sleeping, and sometimes she'll just come out molted. So, but if I can catch it, I will definitely be doing it alive again on TikTok. And then if people don't catch that live, I will take the recording and put it on my YouTube channel. Let's see. Is there anything I can do to help her molt? No, everything is up to her at this point. I've done everything I can with, high calorie meals and the excess calcium and iodine and everything I could do for her. So right now we're just waiting. Yeah, let's see. Yep, she eats her shell to remineralize. She doesn't eat her entire shell. I will tell you that. Normally, she leaves the very tips of her feet, which are the hardest part of her body. They're like iron. And then she won't eat her big claw. And then sometimes she'll only eat part of her little claw. But, so not all of it. Like, not the really hard parts. How did I find out that Howie was a girl? By the time she was 2, I think it was after one of her molts, I was, looking at her. I'm like, her abdomen's a lot wider than it used to be. And then I looked at charts online. I was like, oh my goodness, she's female. We didn't know for a long time. So she was Howie to us for so long that it felt wrong to rename her. Let's see. We got Howie in 2016, from a pet store. She did have crab tank mates when she was in the pet store, but when they're juveniles, they're not as aggressive with each other, because as soon as they hit maturity, they are, pretty aggressive with one another, and they're known for being cannibalistic. So she would eat her friends. How long does it take her to eat her shell? Usually I give her a solid week once I see her start to eat it, and then before I take it out. But most of the time she will kick her molt out of her cave when she is done eating it, and that lets me know that she's done with her shell. And then I'll clean it out so that the water doesn't get any grosser, because by the time she's through her molds and everything, it's like it's due for a deep tank clean. It does take her about a week to harden after her molt. It does take her some additional time to feel secure in her new shell. Like, she has to get over the fear of being squishy. So usually right after molting, it takes her a couple weeks to get back to normal. Howie is in freshwater, but she breathes air, so she doesn't require water to get her oxygen. When I pick her up out of the tank, I've been using silicone tongs just so that she doesn't drop, because she is slippery and she's very old. But she just goes along for the ride. She's really happy about it. She's like, yay, we're going somewhere. Let's see. And no, she hasn't molted yet. For anyone who's just tuning in, Howie hasn't molted. She's not starting to molt. This is just kind of an update talk about where she's at for her molting. She's on day 22 without food, and we are just waiting, but we want everyone to know that she's still okay right now. She was a lot more active when she was younger. I mean, she's kind of like an old cat where she's not as active, but she does get the zoomies sometimes at night, which is cute when she dances around her tank, and then I know that she kind of wants to come out and play. Well, the reason she hasn't eaten for so long is because she's preparing to molt, and she physically can't eat because she's regrowing her digestive tract. Let's see. Does she see in grayscale? No, she sees in color. But her visual acuity is best with like high contrast, like, a dark bird against a bright sky. Like her eyes will immediately dart to anything flying in the air. Kind of like me, if I see something dark in the corner of my house, like, is that a spider? My eyes just dart there. So she's really good at picking up high contrast. But no, she can differentiate colors and faces and foods and all that stuff. We're still thinking about a week to 10 days before she molts. And yes, her eyes will clear up when she molts. She's not particularly difficult to care for except for tank maintenance. It's very hard to keep her tank clean because she's a messy baby. And she loves to rip up lettuce and leave it all over her tank. And then I have to go around and get every little piece out before it rats. So I have to clean her tank, spot clean every single day. And then I have to squeegee the inside of the tank where there's no water, because they'll get mildew because it's wet in there. She has been squeaking a little bit. She was yesterday. Not so much today. She will just kind of grind her teeth. Just my favorite part about Howie is just that, if I had to say a favorite part, she's such a unique pet. A dog will run up and, love you, but to have the ability to snuggle a crab and to have her not pinch me or act aggressive towards me, that we've built that trust over all these years, that's probably just the most amazing part. Just the friendship over the years that we've built together. And she's so smart. I taught her sign language. She knows how to high five. She walks on the sidewalk and stays on the sidewalk when she knows she's on a walk. Like, it's very neat. Like, she knows the routine. She knows what's going on. She has favorite foods, favorite activities. So just witnessing her little personality is really fun. Let's see. Can we get a leg hair update? Let's see. She's still got leg hair, so we're still waiting. Some of her other legs, though, some of it's falling out. Like, her first leg is always the hairiest. The others aren't as hairy. Let's see. But, I mean, she is losing around her beard, but you can't tell because she's holding up her claws. Yeah, but when she loses hair, it's a good sign that her shell is thinning and she's reabsorbing the calcium from it. Their bodies actually produce an enzyme that breaks down their old shell and helps them reabsorb those minerals and store them so that her new shell can harden. Their typical lifespan is 3 to 5 years in captivity. And then a lot of people ask, how often do they molt? That changes for the age of the crab. Every molt is longer in between. So this one is going to be about 9 months apart, and then her last one was 8 months, and then the one before that was 6 months. So I was really hoping when she molted last, when I said, hopefully she'll live another 10 months to a year, I was really, really hopeful that she wouldn't molt this soon. Yeah, so I always give her extra food. I don't portion her food because she's limited to how much she can eat by the speed of her digestive system and the size of her shell. So she can't overeat. So I always give her access to food, and then usually I'll change it out twice a day. If I leave a carrot out and she doesn't touch it, I'll take it out and put something fresh at night. Yes, molting can be very harmful for a crab if they have a molt failure or a problem with it. Let's see. Yes, happy mouth does still happen. Typically she reserves that only when she's happy about a food, but I have recently trained her to do happy mouth on command. So I was hoping, because the last live she did happy mouth for everybody. Come on, Howie, do happy mouth. Let's see. No, she doesn't want to do happy mouth right now. She's working really hard on molting. She isn't really acting any different for this molt versus her last one. I feel like she's on track, but the issue here is that it's a race for her to regrow her gills and regrow her intestinal tract and break down her old shell and everything before she starves, because she is running on stored calories. So I just, it's a real possibility that she might get to a point where she's too weak to molt. And that's unfortunately what ends the lives of old crabs. How long can Howie stay out of the water? Up to 48 hours, as long as her gills are moist. Like, if she's in a humid environment, she could probably be out of the water for 2 days. Her gills only function if they're moist, so she does best in humid environments. So she really only needs water to hydrate, but not necessarily to breathe. So the movement near her nose is her pushing water in and out of her mouth and shell. She's using that to help her body separate from her old shell. No, I haven't noticed any cracks yet. I've been monitoring her body closely. So she's still got a ways to go. No, her eyes aren't really dry. If she finds that they're dry, she'll wipe them, but no. But they are covered by a shell, so they're not like human eyes. They don't get dry. Like, she doesn't need to blink. Let's see, and how did I get her? We got her from a pet store. Well, anyway, you guys, I think I need to end the live because I'm a mom and I have to put my daughter to bed. We have to go do bedtime routine. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. Hopefully if Howie is up for it, I might try to do just a couple more lives so that I can connect with people and answer questions, and so that everyone gets a chance to see little Howie live. Like, you're looking at Howie right now, like, as she is. So I think that'd be kind of neat for a lot of people to see, you know, their favorite Krabby just on live. So I might do this a couple more times as long as Howie is okay with it. And then we will be trying to get her Molt on live. But, you know, I'll let you guys know. So, all right, thanks everybody for tuning in, and thank you everyone for the hearts and the roses and the gifts. I promise that's all going to go towards Howie's caviar and cheese addiction. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate you. All right, we love our fans. All right, bye guys.